Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. White, recently the SEC has been commended by the GAO for raising the bar, frankly, when it comes to conducting economic analysis. And you actually already answered my first question. I'm basically making a statement to you right now, but the SEC really has made major strides in this area. And I appreciate what I took in your opening statement to be your commitment to continue this and to even advance the agency's focus on economic analysis. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Senator. And if confirmed, I will also, there is SEC guidance, which I think has brought about that enhancement that you mentioned, and I will be very focused on seeing that as it operates in practice.
Oh, thank you. And this question is also directed to you. Last year, the Financial Stability Oversight Council released a set of proposals regarding money market mutual funds. And many of us believe that that's a responsibility that much better lies with the SEC. Would you agree with that?
It's money market mutual funds, which are very important investment products, I think are in the heartland of the SEC's expertise, and I think it is the SEC's responsibility, as it is focused on now and has been before, in determining what additional reforms there should be to that investment product.
And if confirmed, would you intend to see that the SEC takes prompt action in that area so that it takes the responsibility as it should?
Yes, Senator, I would be, and my understanding is those discussions are going on currently.
Thank you. And again, you've spent many years in the securities industry, and in addition to your husband as a prosecutor, your husband is a highly experienced securities attorney. I appreciate your answer to the chairman's question, which was one of my questions as well. Mr. Cordray, as you know, the Senate Republicans want to see key structural changes, such as a board versus a single director, funding through the appropriations process rather than direct access to the Federal Reserve Board, and establishing a safety and soundness check for the prudential regulators. Are you open to working with the Senate on these reforms to increase the transparency and accountability at the agency?
We continue to be, and I personally continue to be, interested in working with the Senate to further develop transparency and accountability of the agency. There are numerous provisions in place now that we follow, but for example, on the financial side, we're subject to a specific GAO audit, which is unusual for agencies of our finances. We're subject to an outside independent audit. We do a semi-annual report to Congress, and I'm required to testify in front of both this chamber and the House on each of those reports, so that's at least minimum 4 testimonies per year. We have the Federal Reserve's Inspector General who oversees us. We also have been working toward further fleshing out. You know, you will recall that 2 years ago we had 0 personnel and 0 structure and 0 process. We have recently added the GIPRA statutory performance review provisions into our budgetary process, and I think we could make more commitments to you today than we could have a year or 2 ago, and would be willing to do so in order to improve transparency further and make sure that the Congress has all the information it needs and wants about our expenditures. As to our accountability to the Congress, I always am accountable to you. I have found congressional oversight to be both vigorous and meaningful, and it keeps us in shape, and it keeps us on our toes, and it is something we're very responsive to, and I personally have been responsive to and appreciate the value of that.
Thank you, and I appreciate our private conversations about the importance of accountability and oversight, and your commitment to help improve that.
Yes.
I also recognize that you can't say what the White House and the Congress will ultimately decide with regard to the issues with regard to changing the structure of the agency, but look forward to trying to work with you to resolve those issues and seek your support in helping us resolve those issues.
Thank you.
Finally, Ms. White, again, in your statement, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned the Jobs Act and placed those regulations as a top priority. What timelines do you think you could set for getting those regulations done? All of us up here, I think, are very anxious to see these regulations put into place as quickly as possible.
I appreciate the question. There's no higher priority than I have than moving the SEC along, frankly, under both the Dodd-Frank Act and the Jobs Act to get those regulations out as quickly as possible. And I think you can do them well and smartly and still get them out quickly. I can't give you an exact date, but I guarantee you that I'm going to be focused on that if confirmed from day one.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your willingness to make that a high priority. Last question, again to you, Ms. White. With regard to the Dodd-Frank Act, the SEC made a public request for data and statistics, particularly on the potential regulatory costs to implement any potential changes to fiduciary standards for broker-dealers and investment advisors. Will you commit to reviewing the findings of this request prior to engaging in any rulemaking?
Absolutely. I think it's a very important area, and I do commit to doing that.
Thank you.
Senator Reed.